We are live now.
Are we live yet?
Just now.
Now?
Now.
Now or
Now.
while ago?
Now.
While ago or now?
No, now. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Hollywood Matrimony Live. I just got a notification. We're live. I got to go share and tell all my friends. Oh, my goodness. It's so loud. Well, thank you so much for watching. We're so excited to see you.
Are you?
Yes. Welcome, friends.
Are you really excited
Welcome.
to see them?
Yes. Time for the show. Time for the show. This is it.
We like to wait a few minutes while we're posting things, give people time to join us.
Join us.
You know, for like the
Welcome.
3 people that are going to not watch.
That's okay. You know what? I do it because it's fun. So there you go. There you go, girl.
It is what it is, sister.
I'm telling my friends right now, come watch the show. The show. Sending them kisses.
Anyway.
All right.
Today is one of those rare occurrences that we have actually watched every single movie together on this week's discussion.
Yeah, it's amazing. That doesn't happen often.
It does, in fact, not.
So sometimes you watch stuff, sometimes I watch stuff, and then this time we're actually together for everything.
That's right. So
Please excuse me while I blow my
We've got
nose.
2 older films.
We can start with those.
They're getting the 4K treatment that we're going to discuss. One we'd both seen before, but we revisited
I'm
it.
watching this dog.
The other one, she just realized that you hadn't seen it all, or you only seen pieces of it or something.
I'd seen a piece of it, and then I had confused it with another film
Yeah.
of the same subject matter.
So we'll discuss that. Then we have a whacked out film. Then we have some action films. We've got some Western film of sorts.
We got some weird stuff too.
Yeah, we got all kinds of crazy stuff happening. So where would you like to start, madam?
I don't care. I'm going to tell people welcome. Yay, people are here. Welcome. Okay, the dog is wandering, but you know what? She's being quiet. No, I think it's open. Is it open? I don't know.
Should I go shut it just in case?
I don't think she's going to do anything. If she does, she'll go to sleep. This dog puts herself to sleep.
I don't know. She tends to get into stuff.
That's okay. We'll let her. Just
All
let it
right.
happen.
We'll let her, and then next week you won't see her ever again.
I think it's open, and I think the bathroom's open. I think everything's open.
You are a horrible pet owner.
No, I'm not.
You're supposed to
I
shut
trust
things.
my pet.
Yeah, and I'm the one that cleans up after it.
But I'm afraid if I go out there now, she's going to follow me back.
No, I understand what the issue is now.
So should I go there?
I just don't. No, not now.
And turn the light on,
I'm going to punch you in the
'cause
noggin.
It's going to get dark.
Can we just go to the movies?
All right. What movie do you want to talk about first?
I just asked you that, craphead.
I love you so much.
You don't.
We're going to be together forever.
No, we're not.
Oh, we celebrated our 15-year anniversary together.
Feels like so much longer.
And I was like, hey, next 15 years, here we go. Oh, my goodness. Oh, she's back. Don't worry. She's okay. She's okay. See? She came back.
Oh,
all right.
So thankful.
Oh, my gosh. She's determined to get up here, isn't she? Why don't you go around? Lord. Okay. All right. This is like the worst show ever. While we wait for this dog.
Can you finish what you're saying and stop worrying about that damn dog?
Okay. You tell me.
You were in the middle of saying something about our anniversary.
Oh, yeah, it's our anniversary. I did. I said that. So we're going to do 15 years more. Here we go. All right.
It's gonna be a long
You tell
15
me.
years. I don't care.
You already said it's been a long 15 years the first time.
It's getting longer by the second.
Where do you want to go? Do we want to go with one of these?
Sure.
Or one of those?
Sure.
Why don't we go here?
Okay.
That gives us something fun to talk about that people will know.
Oh, yeah, this is a fun movie. So the first one we're going to talk about is one of the updated releases that Warner Brothers is putting out on 4K. It is the Shawshank Redemption, starring Tim Robbins and Morgan Freeman, based on a novel of Stephen King. It's like a short novel, I think.
There you go. Godzilla's being useful.
It's actually, the novel is called Rita Hayworth and Shawshank Redemption. So this is the one you thought you saw. We decided to rewatch because we knew it'd been a while. She got confused with the Green Mile.
Completely
because
different movie.
She's not racist at all, but it's a prison movie with a black person in it. So she assumed it's the same movie.
That one had a little bit more.
She didn't say that. I said that was a little more supernatural.
Yeah, supernatural.
Shawshank Redemption. Green Mile is a great movie.
It is a good movie, but
that's the Tom Hanks movie.
This was a good movie too, you guys.
Yeah, this one's a rough movie.
It's
sometimes.
really good.
So,
I remembered part of it.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of iconic moments in this movie that kind of stand out, but it's been so long since I watched it from beginning to end. There's a lot of stuff that I remembered as I saw it, but I forgot how in depth and how long they kind of go with the journey.
Yes.
Because I always remembered, kind of where it goes, but I've always found how clever this movie is on making you feel like you're in all those years with him without feeling like it's dragging along.
Correct.
And also doesn't feel like it's skipping past too much. It's very well crafted. This might be up there with like a perfect film. You know what I mean? And just its execution. Yeah. And I believe this is also the movie that, in my opinion, probably the one that made everybody want Morgan Freeman to narrate everything.
I agree. He has an amazing voice.
He had done a lot prior to this movie, but he narrates this movie.
Yeah, and it's great. I mean, he is the voice of God, so I mean, why wouldn't you want that? He's awesome. Okay.
Do you even know why people call him the voice of God?
Because he did that movie where he's the voice of God.
And who else was in that movie?
God.
He's the voice of God, and God is in the movie. That doesn't make any sense for your answer.
Yeah, if he's narrating it.
You just said he was the voice of God.
Yes.
And God was in it. Now you're separating him as two people.
Well, because he's doing his own voiceover.
You're dumb. That is a Jim Carrey movie.
Okay. What do you want to say?
What do you want to say? I just talked. This show is so fast.
No, it's not. Okay, I was going to tell you, this is such a good movie, and I didn't remember all of it, so I'm glad I rewatched it. And I don't know if you can remember seeing it originally and now how it looks with the 4K.
It's way crisper now because I remember seeing it. I saw it on VHS.
It's nice looking. Oh, see, and I just think I saw something on TV. I have no idea.
I don't think I saw it in the theater. I think it was a VHS watch when I worked at the video store.
Oh, wow. Did you watch it up on the screen or did you
rent
it?
No. I VHS at home. I owned it on VHS.
I got you. A long time ago.
I'm sure my review probably says, but.
Well, I'm going to share a link to that review right now. It's a 1994 film.
Yeah, so this was 2 years out of high school.
Man, I was still in high school.
You're stupid.
How am I stupid?
Because you couldn't get out of high school before that?
Wow. Anyways, this is such a good movie. I think the funniest thing that I liked about it is, the whole banter of, what are you in for? He's like, I didn't do it. And he's none of these people did it.
Ongoing joke.
Yeah, nobody did it. But it's actually such a good story just about a little bit about the crazy prison scandals that were going on. Then the different people who may or may not have done it.
Wrongly accused.
Some of them obviously did. And then just the story. Rape. Yeah, that happened a while. Some beaten ups and some rapes. But I think the story of their friendship of Morgan Freeman and Tim Robbins yes. coming together. And it's really an unlikely friendship from someone who did do it and someone who says he didn't. And I think even for the time period that we're setting in, the black man and the white man coming together and working together, and how at that point in the prisons, like everybody was just kind of treated kind of like dirt. And he had the ability, Tim Robbins had the ability to help people, so he did, because he was just really a nice guy.
Well, and it also is a movie that, it could have been kind of come across as very mundane. A lot of the stuff, there's excitement in it. There's fun storytelling, there's laughs, there's drama, there's all those things. But because it's such a good payoff on some of the twists, and it's twists that you may see coming. You're not it's not that clever, but just the twist to it, and then secondary twist to it, and then there's other elements with the different prisons. Like, this is the kind of movie too that even characters that aren't the primary characters get moments to shine and get story. Like, there's one character that gets out that becomes a whole sub story for a brief amount of time. That's probably the most powerful part of the whole movie and the saddest, but it plays into something later on.
Correct.
That's important for kind of the elements, and it looks heavily at how people that are in prison for so long become. They don't know what else to do other than be in prison, and they don't want to leave.
And that's what you were saying. It becomes a monotony, but then it becomes what you're used to.
Yeah, and then when you get outside,
it's like
I think it's ironic because there's moments where
function.
They're out of the prison, you're nice and safe, but they were afraid to be sleeping alone out in prison freedom. They felt safer in the jail.
Yeah,
because that becomes their thing.
Protecting you.
So anyway,
it's sad. At the end of the whole thing, it's kind of sad, and it's kind of like a redemption story. I was trying to see, it's blurry over here, but it's not here, so we're okay. Yeah,
but if you've seen the movie, this new release is actually, it's kind of just more of the 4K release of it. It's got special features. I think most of them may be ones that were on there before, but every so often they put on some new bonus features. But it's a movie because it's a period piece movie.
Yes.
It holds up like it was made yesterday.
Oh yeah.
The only way
It's
you
the
know
best.
this is an older movie is because of the actors looking younger.
Correct.
And
Except
thankfully,
Morgan Freeman.
well, thankfully, because Morgan Freeman, he'd been around forever, but because he became so big, already older,
He looks similar.
he's finally starting to look older now than he was. But
Correct.
he's always been kind of that older looking gentleman. You know, even though, you know, he's been around forever, he was probably in his, I think his 40s, 50s before he really broke out, you know,
Yeah.
in the big stardom. So anyway, but Shawshank Redemption, the 4K is out now. Yeah.
Go watch it.
And you also go to our website at
HollywoodMatrimony.com.
and you might be able to enter to win a copy of this.
3 copy on the 4K.
Free copy on the 4K.
Ooh, fancy.
Why don't we stick to the Warner Brothers 4K releases
This
for the
one?
next film anyway?
Are we going here?
Yeah, let's go there.
All right.
So our next one is a film that I remember introducing you to a long time
Correct.
ago. You kind of became quasi obsessed with
I
it.
did.
Not watching it over and over, but just the look of it. Even cosplayed one of the
I
characters
did.
from it.
I'll share a picture.
It's Stanley Kubrick's A Clockwork Orange, starring Malcolm McDowell. It is also getting the 4K release for its anniversary edition. You rewatched it.
I did.
And I rewatched it as well.
Yes.
Did you watch it more than once prior? Or
I
did you
don't
just
think
watch it
so.
that
I
one
think
time?
I just watched it the one time and I became fascinated by it.
It was one of those movies that the only reason she watched it was because she had never seen it. I'm like, you've got to see it. It's this iconic film.
It is pretty iconic.
And so I borrowed it from somebody. We didn't even own it.
Yeah.
I borrowed it from Scott and
Correct.
watched it. And then, like I said, she ended up
I'm going to find
cosplaying
a picture of it.
She ended up cosplaying one of the Droogs in it. And
Mm-hmm.
so anyway, revisiting it, what did you think of it?
You guys, the sad thing about the film is that it's still relevant today in the sense that some of the sub-themes here are about government control, police brutality, the whole when they're trying to whatchamacallit?
Rehabilitation.
Yes, but even like that other movie that came out about they're trying to reform the gay kids, the whole
Pray the Gay Away thing.
Yeah. So, I mean, even that is kind of a topic here. And I think at the time period in this, I mean, it's a obviously different future timeline. But
I believe the movie takes place in
crime-
2020.
Yeah. The level of
But it was made in the
crime
70s.
is so high and crazy that's why now I think because it is now in the same time period of now, it actually makes a lot of sense. And it's sad that it's still relevant.
Well, and this is one of those movies that I recognize. It's weird.
It is weird.
It's out there. The dialogue is bizarre. The visuals are bizarre.
The slang is difficult.
But this is a brilliant film.
It really is.
I mean, I would even say this movie is a masterpiece. It's just so out there, but I think Kubrick showcases that he had a very specific vision that plays throughout this movie, and it's some of its abundance, its ridiculousness.
It is a little over the top.
All
encompassed
in insanity.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what all this is about, because they play out the religion aspect of kind of being crazy, the violent aspect of being crazy, revenge being crazy, the government being crazy, friends turning on each other with their insanity.
Mm-hmm.
And it almost feels like this movie has no rhyme or reason for the first half.
But
like
it does.
It does. But the way it's
because he's just telling his story.
Yeah, but he's just roaming around and they're beating up people and they're fighting people and they're raping people and they're doing all these different things. Then just going back home and chilling and repeat. And as you're watching it, it gets very mundane. And then you start realizing, okay, this guy's just batshit crazy. We get it. And now it shifts into the later half of the film with the rehabilitation and all that insanity.
It's reconditioning.
Reconditioning, yes.
The reconditioning, reprogramming.
And then shifting from that on how even when he's trying to be good, he's still treated bad, and then it still comes back to bite him in the ass. And
yeah, I mean, the short version is this: we see the adventures of a young man who couldn't resist pretty girls and a bit of the old ultra violence. Went to jail, was reconditioned, came out different, or was he?
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
And reading about the book itself, I went back and read about the book, which now I guess I need to read the book, but just the idea that can you even recondition someone? But really, does the government even have the right to do that to you? I don't know.
My thing with this movie is in that idea is I think when he was into the religious aspect in the prison, there was a chance had they let him go at that moment, he might have been a good person.
Right.
Because he seemed, even though he was latching onto the wrong aspects of religion, he was finding balance.
Yes, correct.
And it was going to the extreme.
That could be reform, but now reconditioning.
And it also could be, it could also be disguised as him just trying to get out. You never really know.
You never really know.
But yeah, once you get into the reconditioning and that kind of part of it, you know that it's going to cause a different problem. And it did. And this one, you know, it starts causing problems with his family. It's not only, he's reformed by the government. Oh,
Sorry, you're going to have to kick someone out.
We're reformed by the government and the people and everything else, and let him go. But it doesn't do away with what he did outside. So the reform did no good other than...
Sorry, somebody was stepping on my
Other than it made him get released. It made him not be able to commit crime anymore.
And remember, that's why he's like, I'll do it if I can get out early. That was his whole thing. He didn't really care about being better.
What's messed up about the whole thing is him going back outside, and now he's being better, and now he's being good, and whatever. The people outside don't see him different. So they're still mistreating him, or they want revenge or whatever you talking about.
Well, then, and now you see, you might have to go to her bed. Go to your bed. The other thing that you kind of see with the whole reform aspect is it's not really reform, it's reconditioning, and they're essentially trying to reprogram your brain to something that I don't think it was ever meant to be. And that kind of goes back to a discussion we've had on the show before is, are some people just some jerks? Like, are you just a bad person just because, or are you inherently a good person? Is it a learned behavior? Is it, you know, because of your upbringing? Is it because of external factors, or is it just who you are? Don't know. But I don't think that we have the right to try to reprogram people to make them fit the mold, because then it goes back to the whole question, who decides what the mold is? Who decides what the morality is? Who decides what's right and wrong? And I think a lot of the things we're seeing now socially with all the crazy laws that are going on, and even, you know, the new abortion bans and all of these other things, is who decides what's right and wrong? Who decides? And if you start bringing back religion into it, then it goes into this whole, well, I thought we were separating the religious aspect from things. So it creates just a lot of questions in my mind. I was talking about how we've talked about on the show. Some people are probably just jerks.
Yeah.
And if we try to reform or rehabilitate, who decides what the morality is? Who decides what's right or wrong? But now with the abortion thing, well, who decides what life is? Who decides that? Because they're trying to base it on a religious aspect, but we're supposed to be separating that out.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I'm super Jesus. I am super Jesus all day.
I know, but we're supposed to be in a country of freedom of religion, and freedom of speech, and freedom of thought.
I have to separate myself from that. And, you know, there's some things that I'm just like, wow, okay, it's a little extreme here. And I get what I believe, but I should believe what I believe. That's my thing, is there are a lot of stuff that's perfectly fine with people being against abortion. Yeah.
But nobody should be able to be told they can't do that because I don't believe
because
in it.
I don't believe, so you can't. Exactly.
Yeah, when it has nothing to do with you.
I think we need to put her in her bed. It's a little crazy. I'll go. It's just over the top. So anyways, this movie is weird. So if you're not into weird, and it's a little bit crazy at times, there's a lot of kind of psychedelic colors and vibes. And I like, in a weird way, when he talks about the ultra violence. You know, he's into a bit of the ultra violence. It's interesting that a lot of the violent behaviors and things seen on screen have a background of classical music, and it's interesting, the juxtaposition of the two things. And later on, you get into the colors of it are so bright and vibrant and beautiful when gross things are happening. So I think throughout the film, you see a lot of that kind of opposites playing each other, and it's actually really interesting. But it is weird. It is a lot of flashy things. There is a lot of violence on screen. There is drug use. There is rape. There's just a lot of brutality and fighting and beatings and stuff throughout, but it's actually with a purpose. Typically, I think if there's violence for just violence sake, then obviously it's dumb. But this one, it's with a purpose to tell the story. So I'm super into it again. I really liked the movie the first time, and I really liked it again. And now I have dog slobber on my glasses, so I can't see you.
She took off running, so I didn't have time to be chasing her because we were doing the show.
Oh
and
my
then she
goodness.
Fun fact.
What's that? Oh, you were going to tell me a fun fact that I didn't
yes.
know.
Which I totally forgot about until I revisited this movie, was the character of Julian, which is the big bodybuilder guy at the end.
Yes.
You know who that is?
No, who is that?
That, are you ready? Is David Prowse.
It is?
Yes.
Oh, very young David Prowse.
David Prowse before Star Wars.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yes. So
Wow.
I was watching, I'm like...
Where he's like, Julian.
I was like, wait a minute, isn't that David Prowse? I forgot that he had done that.
That's so funny. Anyhow.
So, anyway, A Clockwork Orange is going to be hitting 4K this week. And you might just be able to go to our website.
HollywoodMatrimony.com.
And win a copy of it there as well. Look at that.
Well,
What we got?
Okay. Anyways, lots going on there. I suggest you watch it. Just go for it. Okay, where do we want to go?
Okay.
You want to go here? Because
Sure,
that one's a good one to talk
So
about.
one that I've been really wanting to see is another crazy film. And I'm sure there's going to be some disagreements on this film.
Oh,
But
goodness.
it's a movie called Prisoners of the Ghostland,
Yeah.
starring Nicolas Cage,
Mhm.
Sophia Boutella,
Yeah.
Bill
like her.
Moseley. And it's directed by, what is his name? Sino. I always forget how to say his name.
Let's find out.
Let's find out.
One,
a
a two, a three.
Sion Sono. Sion Sono.
So no.
So basically, what is the easiest way to describe this film? Because it's going to be a hard one to
It's
describe.
kind of a weird futuristic timeline.
It's like Road Warrior
a la
meets
Mad Maxy Road Warriors,
and
but
then infused with like a Western and a samurai flick and
a little bit of
the Japanese, what do they call the gore culture films like Yakuza Weapon and Versus, and
where you have like the skin and the
and
the
then,
mask skin and body skin of other people. It's weird.
yeah, it's just that weird stuff, and this is a very artsy movie.
It is.
And the story is basically in some weird time period. We don't
It's
never
a
really
weird
know.
future-ish time,
Future
maybe,
past fusion.
because there's also a lot of mysticism and
There's a lot of
chanting and
it looks
and
like the whole movie
dance.
looks like it's in Tokyo,
yeah.
like in the Wild West.
Yes, Wild West Tokyo.
So you have all these Asians dressed as cowboys, along with Americans dressed as cowboys.
A lot of geishas.
Then you have a lot of geisha girls, and
And
then you
some
got random
samurais.
samurais.
Yeah.
Which made me very excited that one
No.
of the samurais, I always forget how to say his name, was Tak Sakaguchi, who is well known for Yakuza Weapon and Versus. But Nicolas Cage and Nick Cassavetes play these guys that were robbing something, a bank or something, and they get caught, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so Bill Moseley, who's kind of this, almost like a Boss Hogg looking
Yeah,
guy.
he wears a white suit and a white cowboy hat.
He got the full white cowboy hat, white suit, but red gloves, and he runs this town. And I guess it was one of his daughters, or what he called his ladies, whatever you want to call her, is kidnapped or
Yeah.
missing.
I think she ran away.
I know that, but he thinks she's missing or
I don't
whatever.
know.
Anyway,
It's a little
they
confusing.
send Nicolas Cage to go get her. That's the
Right.
story.
There you
And
go.
then he goes find her. They get stuck in this area called the Ghostland.
Yes.
And there's like weird zombie demon kind of things. We don't really know. Even after seeing the movie, you still don't really know.
Yeah.
And there's kind of a musical aspect to it at one point. There's dance numbers. There's violence, exploding testicles.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I
I know, she's laying right on the thing.
don't know, but she looks like she's chewing it. Oh, no, she's chewing it. Sorry.
Oh my goodness.
There's a lot to this movie, and it kind of makes sense and doesn't make sense at all.
Yeah.
So what did you think? Because you didn't know anything about the movie. You just, I really wanted to watch it.
From one weird movie to another. This movie's a little bit weird. But
I love this movie.
I knew you were going to love it. I like it okay. I think one of the things that I did really like was the costumes.
Yeah.
Because it's crazy all over the place. So you got the bad guy, I guess, in white. You got some of the good guys in black. You have all these beautiful geishas, which I loved all that costuming, and then the samurai with this thing on, But then you have all these weird people in the Ghostland.
It's almost looking at it, it's almost like they spent all their budget here, and then they're like, we have no more budget. Let's just make stuff.
Yeah, but that's what I think
it's part
I
of
liked.
The magic of what they're creating with that little town.
And it's also when you're in the geisha town, it's very vibrant and bright. Then you get to the Ghostland, and everything's very kind of muted and gray and dusty. And I liked all these people's costumes because they were wearing, some of the people were wearing the traditional like robe things, kind of a kimono, but not really. And then you have kind of their road warrior people, which I felt like they were wearing these weird bird cage shoulder
Yeah, they look
things.
like Christmas decorations almost.
Yeah.
And lights on them.
Yeah. And
some of them look like they were wearing styrofoam cups.
And then, they made, it looks like they handmade all their stuff, but that worked for the Ghostland.
Well, the characters are supposedly they're like these little scavengers.
Yes.
So that's why they're dressed that way.
Yeah, so they take apart all
But then there's a whole nother element of people dressed as like mannequins.
Yeah, so this is where that weird style, it's the Japanese movie style of people wearing mannequins or like fake pieces of skin on top of their skin and fake.
But the rubber, it's not like supposed to look like skin.
It's fake mannequin bodies on their bodies, and they don't really move.
So the movie's like hyper violent, but not super gory, which surprised me. I thought it was going to be way more gory than it was.
Yeah.
Just because of the vibe it had. Nicolas Cage is awesome in it. And he looks like he's having a blast making this movie.
It's a super strange one. I mean,
because he's kind of funny at moments, and other times it's serious.
Yes.
Sofia Boutella, who I love.
You love her.
She's very kind of low key in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, she doesn't speak a lot because it's part of the character. But when she does finally get to do so, she's whooping some people's asses and stuff. And but yeah, it's just there's elements that you honestly will be like, what is happening? What is going on right now? And then there's other times you're like, oh, is that what they were doing? But I think a lot of it's by design because it's very artsy.
Yeah.
What is it? I wrote in the review because I read it and I had to kind of steal the statement about the director.
It's a little weird.
Where is he at?
It's weird, man.
Hold on, let me find it.
Is it in your thing?
It says that the director is known as a Stakhanovist filmmaker with an idiosyncratic career. And it's something to do with like a style and different things, but it's very, very stylized.
It's a little odd.
It's very much like a Clockwork Orange, but in a complete different direction.
Because now we're in a kind of spaghetti western in Japan in the future, maybe.
And you get full on the sword work in it is really well done.
It's really good.
There's some good shootouts. I mean, there's Nicolas Cage with a sword arm and a football helmet fighting people with a missing testicle, and there's all kinds of insanity happening. And it's funny
lots of insanity.
Is there's I was telling somebody else today, but I haven't told you yet. In an interview, Nicolas Cage talks about this movie, and he said there's a scene that even his manager wanted them to take out, which is the testicle scene.
The testicle?
But he said he thought that scene was very important to the story because it's relevant to today about knowing boundaries with sexual abuse and knowing when not to touch people.
Oh.
And he said,
good for him.
He goes, I thought it had a message that needed to be told right there.
Oh.
He goes, and it's kind of crazy and funny, but he goes, there's more to that in my opinion. I don't know if that's what he was written or if that's just what he got from it. From making contact when you're not necessarily, there's repercussions.
And you know what? This brings up an interesting point to me about Nicolas Cage. He takes every single thing he does serious. Yeah. No matter how crazy or insane or silly we think the movie may be, he's all in.
Well, Bill Moseley, again, I read an interview with him. I'm a huge Bill Moseley fan. If you don't know who Bill Moseley is, he's from Devil's Rejects. He's Chop Top in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. He's done a buttload of horror films. I've met him in person. He's a really super nice guy. He reminds me of Robert Englund, and he has that voice that doesn't really fit for a badass.
Yes.
And he's not so. If you take his beard away, he's kind of nerdy looking.
Yeah.
When he has his beard and his long hair from Devil's Rejects, he looks like a badass. You take all that away, he's like Robert Englund. He's kind of nerdy looking.
Yeah.
But I read an interview about this movie, and he said that working with Nicolas Cage, it was insane. He goes, because, of course, Nicolas Cage is the top billing superstar, Oscar winner guy on this set. He goes, and He's the epitome of professional. He came in, he knew every line, he knew everything he was doing.
He's ready to go.
He was ready to go. He said he talked to everybody. He was polite. He worked with everybody. You know, he would ask, you know, hey, could this work better for you? And he said it was probably one of the best experiences he's had working with another actor.
I'm telling you, he goes all in. Even something like we think is silly, he's thought about it to that depth of the character and the story. And even like that one where he's beating up the animatronic thing.
Wally's Wonderland?
You know, it seems silly and ridiculous, but he's all in. And the pig movie, oh my gosh, that movie made me cry.
Still one of my favorite movies.
It seems ridiculous, but yeah, I had a real emotional reaction to that. And then I started thinking deeper about how food creates a reaction and food creates memory, which memory creates. I mean, it's so ridiculous.
The thing that I love
that he does this, and he gets me.
Is Nicolas Cage's career is the kind of career that most people would look at and say, this is a washed-up actor having to work on just whatever he can get. But the reality is, I believe this is an actor working on what he wants to work on.
Correct.
And
which is, I think, the epitome
because
of what
he had that box office star with The Rock and Con Air and Face Off and
I love me some
you know leaving Las Vegas and winning Oscars. And
he's done that already.
He was that big guy, and then you know he had the long road of a lot of straight, and he still has done a lot of straight to video stuff that was kind of but like his last few that have come straight out, excuse me, have been amazing. And given they're not for everybody.
No.
Mandy is awesome. Color Out of Space is amazing. Mom and Dad was awesome. Remember that one that's kind of like a Purge type where all the kids go crazy. The parents all went crazy or whatever.
Yes, that was good.
I love this one.
The Wally's Pig is amazing. Wally's Wonderland was actually really good too.
I think he's on another track of these just great movies, but they're movies that a lot of people may or may not watch or see.
Yeah.
You know, and he's kind of become synonymous with the hairstyles too, because he always had some crazy hair, different changes.
Yeah.
You know, but
you know what? I think he's all in and he's doing what he wants to do, like you said. And I think that's when you get the best performances from people. So
but what I'm really excited about, not related to this movie, but Nicolas Cage, if it actually happens, the guy that made Kong vs. Godzilla is supposedly making another Face Off, which everybody thought was a remake. He said, no, this is a sequel to Face Off. And supposedly he has been discussing with Cage and Travolta to come back for the film.
How cool would
that would be awesome. I don't know how they'll make that work since one died and one didn't, but we've seen that happen.
But their faces are still around.
We've seen they flipped them back. But
we know they could probably create a face.
we've seen movies where people died and they came back all the time, so that doesn't mean anything. But Prisoners of the Ghostland is not for everybody. You're either going to love this movie or you're probably not going to like it.
That was
Or you'll super be confused.
That was and I was admiring the costumes and the scenery. And because I'm like you, I try to find something good in every movie. He's good. The story is bizarre.
But here's the thing too.
The
movie made a lot more sense to me, but I think it's because I've watched a lot of these Japanese movies like this, and I've kind of got a sense of the weirdness of where they're going and what means something, what means nothing, what is just there for filler, and just say, wow, this is crazy. Again, if you're somebody looking at it, like you said, aesthetically or something like that, then you'll find that kind of thing. If you're just a casual viewer that just watches stuff, you're going to probably be like,
you may not enjoy, but
you'll be like, what the hell is going on?
But it makes sense.
It does. This is a grindhouse movie all the way.
Correct.
This is the kind of movie that should be shown at like the Texas Theater at midnight, but it's in theaters now, so you can probably find it limited release or on digital.
I think you'll like it.
And just warning you ahead of time, it is a weird film.
It is weird.
I love it. I can't promise you will. That's the easiest way to tell it. Just because I love
you
something.
like weird stuff.
I do sometimes. So anyway,
all right.
Prisoners of Ghostland. And here's the other thing. A big props is I was really excited trying to see that. I knew it came out this weekend. I was like, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Hey, you want a screening of this?" I said, "Yes, I do."
Thank you.
And the same thing happened with another movie today too.
Did we mention that it's because you're now in the North Texas Film Critics Association? We're official now. What?
Well, I am. She's not, but I am.
I'm the guest.
That's right.
I'm the +1. Anyhow, so
I'm one of only 15 members of the.
So thank you so much. We are so honored. Thank you.
That means I'm still not a celebrity.
And we still will pay for movies.
That's right. I still pay for everything.
Pay for stuff.
I would have paid for this one, and I can't wait for this one to come out so I can watch it again.
All right.
Can I just point out the poster is amazing?
Poster's crazy.
I'm trying.
All these things are in it.
I'm gonna reach out to see if I can get a copy of this poster because I need a copy of this poster.
That clock, that dang clock.
I need to do this right now.
Because we were going with that. I'm like, what? You were like, what are they doing? I'm like, they're doing the clock. And like for the entire movie, it's like, it's the clock. But you know,
they finally like, let go. You don't have to stop.
It's like
time
it's
anymore.
okay.
Like what?
Well, that was the other thing that was interesting. You know, the idea that this man could control time.
Yeah.
That time is a thing to be owned, and you know what? Time passes you by, and just got to move with it. All right, I'm moving on to the next movie. Which one do you want to go? You want to go here or here? Serious or kind of fun?
Whatever you'd like.
Serious or fun? Serious or fun? I think let's go serious, then fun, then serious. I'm gonna go here because this one we should have watched last week. We're a week behind.
Yeah. So our next one is in conjunction with 9/11, and I knew about this movie. I forgot about it because I got sidetracked and we never did get to watch it. We finally did. What's the movie, madam?
The movie is called Worth, and it stars Batman,
Michael Keaton,
Stanley Tucci, who I love for everything he does, and Amy Ryan, who's this lovely lady here.
Yes.
Okay.
And we're going to tell you if it's worth checking out.
Hey. So the movie basically follows the kind of true life happenings of post 9/11 and the government setting up a fund to provide monetary compensation to victims of 9/11. Now,
it follows these real two lawyers that dealt
with it.
Distribution and who deserves to get what and how much and all that good stuff.
Now here's
a job nobody wanted. Here's
the crummy thing is we know that the government probably did it to avoid lawsuits and being sued for whatever they may or may have not known. And then this opens up your whole 9/11 and conspiracy and all that. We're not going to deal with that today because whatever. We're dealing with now the victims. And the sad thing is because it was a legal thing passed by Congress, there were certain rules and criteria that you had to meet to be eligible to get the funds. And specifically, they had to be your legal spouse. They couldn't just live with you, and it couldn't be...
It was before legalized gay marriage.
Same-sex marriage or partners. I mean, if you were married and you were in a state that recognized it, cool.
Yeah.
But if you were in a state that didn't, you weren't going to get anything. Then it brings up situations that I didn't even think about. Like this guy had a family.
Secret families.
But he had another family. And so, how do you determine who gets the money? So they pop up
like, "Hey, his kids are over here too," and people don't know about it. And how do you?
Oh my gosh! And then just the situation of like, well, I didn't die, but I lost both my legs. Why do I not get compensation?
Yeah, one of the things, and the whole thing is the lawyer guy is somebody's a numbers guy. He sets up.
He's an actuarial person. So
there's a
formula
on how much people get. And a lot of it's based, which I thought was messed up.
Immediately, I was like, annual compensation.
Yeah, she's over here nerding it up, and I'm like, could you shut up? Michael Keaton's talking. And but it's kind of messed up thinking about the fact that they're going by what you made. So rich people are going to get more than the poor people, and where in reality that ideal should be switched because the poorer people probably relied on that income more than the rich people that were going to get more.
Yeah.
And watching that aspect is infuriating enough because it's such a simple fix that you could do it. But then seeing the rich people complain, well, we would have got an annual bonus and we would have got this, and why aren't we getting compensated?
Yeah, what about
for this?
commissions and what about this?
And they're in a high rise in their fancy suits talking, and then you have these people who are like, well, my husband was the only person at work and I had the kids, and you're only going to get this little tiny bit. And
then, or they're like a sad immigrant family, like the guy was the janitor, but still his life, somebody's like, why is my husband's not worth more because he was a janitor and this guy's a CEO? It's still somebody's life.
And the CEO people are like, why would the janitor get as much as me? Why is it our fault they didn't prepare themselves in life?
And then they were like, okay, well, also if the person had life insurance, we deduct that because you're already getting money. So then the poor people who couldn't afford life insurance were like, well, that's not fair.
Yeah.
That if I did have insurance, I get deducted. And if I don't, I'm getting, why am I not getting the extra because I didn't have life insurance in there? It became this whole big ordeal.
Yeah. So what's interesting is Michael Keaton is amazing in this movie.
Amazing.
He's always good, but I think he's better in these kind of roles than anything else when he gets the
or Batman
delivered dialogue. No, but I'm saying delivered dialogue because not only is his delivery good, but he has a lot of tics and a lot of expressions and movements to his body that makes you believe what he's talking about.
Mhm.
You know, like he says something and he's like, you know, and the conversation continues even though he hasn't talked for a minute after he finished saying
but
anything.
you know he's processing.
Yeah.
You can see it. And I mean, I think the sad thing about this is this law firm decides he owns a law firm. He decides this is what we're doing. He has some people assigned to this case, and they have to hear the stories of like all of these 7,000 people. Like every single person comes and tells their sad story and is there crying, and how it begins to personally affect. I mean, it would affect you.
Yeah.
Hearing all these sad stories, because especially me, if you're gonna cry, I'm gonna cry.
When he's smart, because he doesn't listen to those.
I know.
He has other people doing it, so he can keep the numbers. And obviously that changes.
Mhm.
Stanley Tucci's character is
so good.
another lawyer, I guess, right? Or is it just an
I don't
activist
think so. I think he's just an activist
who is trying to fix his stuff because he's also a victim. Part of it.
His wife passed.
And some of the best moments in this movie are the exchanges between Tucci and Keaton because they're not. This could have easily gone in a very aggressive fighting,
Mhm.
and it never is. It's two people that are the same person on different sides of the coin,
Mhm.
with one just like, look, I don't have a choice. This is just how the numbers are. The other one's like, you can change this. And he's trying to get through to him without being aggressive, which is what we don't see a lot of time in these kind of movies. It's always like, I'll take you to court, I'll destroy you, you suck, and they're fighting. And there's even these epiphany moments where one recognizes something and somebody else recognizes, and they kind of come together, but they're still on their own thing. And
so good.
It's some really good dialogue, and it's a very clever kind of new feeling of dealing with the 9/11 stuff, because most of the 9/11 movies that came out most of them were about the actual crash, you know, or the rescue stuff, which is obviously that's the craziest part of it. But, you know, then there's been a few other ones that talked about, wasn't there one about somebody's hearing or something? I forgot the name of the movie. Anyway, that played into it. I think it was a Tom Hanks movie too. But anyway,
maybe. I mean, the other one we got to watch is that John Stewart thing.
Well, that's a documentary, which is about
because that's the other thing that people were trying to present a claim like, I'm now sick and I can't work, so why do I not?
But there's so many layers,
layers
to that kind of thing. Of you could tell the story of the terrorist hitting it. You could tell the story of the victims inside the building. You could tell the story of the news trying to cover it. You could tell the story of the rescuers trying to help. You can tell the story of the businesses around it as it affected them, and now you have the financial sides of it.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can deal with insurance issues of this. There's so many different things they could do.
Well,
they could do an entire Worth series.
Yeah, because there's one scene that I thought was impactful for me personally was they had all of the immigrant people, all these people that only spoke Spanish. Some of them were perhaps undocumented workers that had family members that died there. And they're like, hey, we're going to give you this much money. And these people were so sweet. And they're like, are we splitting that between everybody?
And they weren't even going to argue about it. They were just happy
like,
something.
Oh, okay, are we splitting it between? And she's like, no, per person. And they're like, what?
Yeah, and she's instant. She's like, they're going to take that.
They're going to take it.
But
and then in the next
same
scene,
sequence, it was the most brilliant. It goes from this and these people accepting what was really they were being ripped off, but they had nothing and were willing to take anything, and were already getting more than they expected. Mm-hmm. To the greed of the rich, saying, "Why are we not getting more?" Mm-hmm. Like in the same set.
Yeah, it's that attorney group that represents all these rich people. Yeah. They're like, no, they need more. So then they come back to the office, and the lady's like, "How did it go?" And he's like, "Well, what you expected? It's a bloodbath." And he asked her how did it go. And she goes, "They were very grateful."
Yeah. So and it's another thing that speaks to the hierarchies of where people stand when it comes to money, because. Yeah. If you really look at even today, not all of them. I know very wealthy people that are still fighting the good fight for equality and all that kind of stuff. But it's funny that most of the people that I see posting about being against something shutting down or being against something here, something there, it's the people that have the money that are going to be affected if they change it. Mm-hmm. The people that are struggling to fight to try to get more are the people that want things to happen.
I just saw something on Twitter this week. I don't know, it's probably one of the rappers or somebody posted about when I was young and fighting out, speaking out against this, they're like, oh, shut up, you can't make the change. Wait till you get some power and you can do it. He goes, now that I'm rich and speaking out the change, they're like, oh, you're just faking it, trying to get more fame.
Yeah, it's a loser.
Like,
well, it's one of those things too. Is kind of going what you said, not to really do this movie, but it's like telling sports people or actors or people to shut up and act or shut up and dribble your ball. But then if they don't speak out on the thing you agree with,
correct.
It's like, why are you not using your platform to speak up?
Exactly.
But when you do, it's like, shut up, And the funny part about it is people treat them like they're different than the guy that mows the lawn or the guy that's... It's still just a human being with a job.
Mm-hmm.
They just happen to have a job that makes them a lot of money.
Correct. And
it's not any different than a doctor, a lawyer, a janitor, daycare worker, an accountant, martial arts instructor, whatever. We all have the right to have opinions and to say so. The difference is I don't have the voice that Quentin Tarantino has because he has the platform. And who was it that we were watching that one time? I think it was Anthony Mackie. Or maybe it was Don Cheadle. Don Cheadle on that Kevin Hart thing where he talks about being an activist.
Yeah.
And he said that he got up to speak during some of the Black Lives Matter stuff.
Yeah.
But not for them to listen to me. He goes, because I knew I had the platform to speak and then say, okay, now that you're listening to me, listen to them. Because they're there with him. And so he took it to make the camera do this. Because if not, the camera's going to ignore them. But now they can't because they see them. And it's one of those things that you don't have to agree with anybody. But I don't think it's right to attack somebody and say, sit down and shut up. Agree with Tom Arnold or not Tom McDonald, rap guy or not. I don't really agree with some of the last few things he's put out. But he has a line in one of his songs that says, as children were raised to walk and talk, but adults were told to sit down and shut up. And it's very
it's strange.
Perfect for what's going on right now.
It's weird.
Anyway, this isn't really about that. But
it's a little heavy. So just no going in, but it's actually a very, very good movie.
It is.
And it has an appropriate ending. And oh my gosh, what these people do. Like, this is their life. And I would just, I couldn't. Emotionally, I could not handle this
they've
job.
been dealing with all the way to what, 2016 or 17 or something?
Yeah, but they deal with so many other similar
all
things.
the shootings. And it does a cool list at the end of telling all the different shootings and whatever that's pretty much almost every major
disaster.
Yeah, school shooting, disaster, nightclub shooting.
They do the same thing to help people
get doing all that stuff.
Get
crazy
payment.
And what's crazy too is in the coming weeks, and I say coming weeks, I know exact date. There's gonna be another Michael Keaton movie coming out dealing with. I remember I showed you a trailer that deals with the pharmaceutical stuff. So it's gonna be another one that drives us crazy.
I'm being so angry.
We got to deal with that before he becomes dons the cowl of Batman again in the Flash movie.
Let's deal with that.
All right, Worth is available now on Netflix, so check it out if you want to see a good movie.
You want to go here?
Sure, why not? There? Whatever you want to do.
Okay. That's where I'm going.
This one is another one that I was really excited to see. You didn't know anything about this one.
I knew nothing.
This one did not get enough push. I don't know why, but for whatever reason, it got hardly any push. There's a movie called Copshop, starring Gerard Butler, Frank Grillo, Alexis Louder, Toby Huss, and it's directed by Joe Carnahan, which Joe Carnahan, most people know, he directed Smoking Aces, The Gray, The A-Team, the other and Boss Level that you like with Frank Grillo. I like that one. Frank Grillo Frank Grillo seems to be in a lot of Joe Carnahan movies.
Yeah.
And this is the most not looking like Frank Grillo I've seen him.
His hair bothers me.
His hair bud?
No, but when he puts his hair down, it's just so greasy and
That's
gross.
what I'm saying. He does not look like Frank Grillo this time around. Like, because normally he has like the stubble, the spiky hair.
The hair bothered me.
And this time around he has like a mustache and a little goatee, and he's got this long hair. It's in a man bun most of the movie. The movie reminded me kind of Assault on Precinct 13, which I believe is a John Carpenter movie. I think it's John Carpenter. But it's basically the entire movie, for the most part, takes place in a police station. Mm-hmm. And the story is basically this guy who's on the run from something. He gets himself arrested on purpose to kind of hopefully get protected. And then obviously people are after him. Some madness ensues within the police station. That's basically it. You have Alexis Louder, who I've never
seen her before.
If I did see her, I apologize. I didn't know who she was.
I love you.
But You're
awesome.
It's a modern day film, but she's like she's a sheriff, whatever, or detective, whatever you're going to call it. She's a uniformed officer, but she's like a quick draw.
Yes.
She's carrying a 6-shooter, and she's like
a couple of moments with her.
Yeah, and she's a badass.
Oh, she was in Tomorrow War. We'll have to go look at it.
Where?
Tomorrow War.
Oh, was she?
Yeah.
I have to go look
I
her
just
up.
like her look.
She looks
man.
familiar, but I don't know her. And she liked
Watchmen.
my tweet from
She was
her.
a Watchmen.
Oh, the TV show. Yeah. No, she is now.
Okay.
She liked the tweet for the movie that I posted too. So
oh, nice.
So anyway, so that's where we're at on this movie. So you knew nothing about this. We were planning to go see this one at the theater.
Oh
then we ran out of time and realized we weren't going to be able to. And then they sent me a screener of it.
Yes, thank you. We are so happy. Thank you.
So what did you think of this movie?
I really liked it. I just didn't like his hair. That's the only thing I didn't like. I think, you know what? Even though we have Frank Grillo and we have Gerard Butler, I like her best.
She steals the movie.
She is the best.
They're both excellent in the movie, but
yes,
she
is
the badass.
Is the movie. I mean, and just at the very first scene, you get the which has nothing to do with anything until later. And then I like the crazy shooter guy, the crazy guy with the little mustache.
Toby Huss.
Yes.
He's if you don't know Toby Huss, he's the one that's, first of all, he's Boomhauer from King of the Hill.
Oh, okay.
But he's also been in everything. You've seen him before.
She's been in Black Panther. She's been in lots of things now I know. So anyhow, she's in the originals. I have to go catch up.
Is she coming in the new one? She just posted something about the scroll up. Oh, it doesn't have.
Anyways, she's the best to me in this whole movie.
She is, but the movie,
the other guys are good.
The movie kind of kicks off with some action and violence and lets you know, okay, this movie's gonna be kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of slows down, and it's very long time before anything else new happens, other than a lot of dialogue setting up what's going on, who the people are. A lot of great exchanges between Grillo and Butler. But it kind of got me worried. I'm like, this is a Joe Carnahan movie. I'm like, this is supposed to be way more violent than this.
Oh, there is.
And
don't worry.
It goes well. And then, but once crap hits the fan, this movie becomes a bloodbath of bullets flying, people getting shot, people getting blown up, cut, killed. It is awesome.
There's just stuff everywhere. And I like that. The other thing, too, is like all these different guns. And I'm asking you, would that really happen? Because there's this one is like...
Well, that's because he shot him with a shotgun.
And you're like, yeah, that if it was a shotgun, and then they pan around as a shotgun, you're like, see? Okay, now you know. Anyways, this is the coolest. It's kind of like a modern day Western-ish.
It is. It feels like...
What's that?
If you've seen Smoking Aces, imagine most of that movie, this movie. But it also feels there's a little bit of a Quentin Tarantino vibe to it because it has like that 70s opening music. You know, and the way the credits were handled.
I was thinking like High Noon. Or something.
It's another one that's kind of almost Grindhouse-like, but not weird. It's just weird. It's very. There's tons of great characters. There's a lot of fun little dialogue between all the characters. The banter. It could be a Robert Rodriguez type movie as well. But Joe Carnahan is good at these kind of things. Have you seen Smoking Aces?
I don't know. I probably have.
What's the one where the hotel and all the people are Alicia Keys and all those people are trying to kill that one guy, Jeremy Piven?
Maybe.
It's got Ragnar
Lothbrok.
Yeah, it's got him and Ryan Reynolds.
Then I don't think I have.
Ray Liotta and.
I think I have with Ray Liotta. I think I've seen every Ray Liotta thing because of you.
Well, if you haven't seen Smoking Aces 2, not so much, but Smoking Aces is great.
Anyways,
it's got Chris Evans and Chris Pine in it.
Chris Pine.
Yeah, well, they're
this
playing
movie
like chainsaws and stuff.
Is so cool.
It is. It's
really good. And you kept talking about it all week. You're like, I want to go see Copshop. And I was like, okay.
She just ignores me.
And then he's like, do you want to go see Copshop? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, you have no idea what it's about. I'm like, no, I'm assuming about a cop. You know, but he was so excited.
And I was so upset because we didn't think we were going to get to go because we'd had so much going on. And we were like,
we're just tired now this week.
Last weekend was so crazy with all the belt tests and everything we did. So we were going to bypass it. And literally middle of the day, Friday, the movie came out Friday. Middle of the day, I get a random email that says, Copshop opens in theaters. Would you like a screening? And I'm like, why, yes, ma'am, I would.
And then we couldn't get it to play.
That was a whole
And then this guy's like, I don't know what my password is. And I'm like, do you not save your passwords? He's like, no, I don't know what any of my passwords are. And I'm getting old and I can't remember anything. He's like, anything with numbers or birthdays or whatever. I'm like, yeah, I know. You forget everybody's birthday.
But I can remember every form I've done for the last 40 years in martial arts.
But birthdays and names and stuff, no. So then he's resetting his password, and then you have to get the confirmation code.
No. That was all for Prisoners of the Wasteland.
Well, who knows?
That was the one that wouldn't play right.
Whatever. Well, this was part of that, too, because we had to get it up so you could get on the
No,
thing.
by the time we got to this one, I already had it working.
Who knows? It's just so much
You just
drama
stop.
watching movies with you sometimes.
It's so much
I
drama
love you.
living with you.
I know,
period.
but I'm awesome.
Anyway,
I'm hungry.
but Copshop is awesome. It's super violent. It's fun. It's got some laughs.
It's good.
Toby Huss, in my opinion, outside of Alexis Louder, stole the movie because
Yeah.
he was so crazy and silly and weird.
Who was the chunky cop with the mustache that he kept
Which
pushing
one? There's a
around?
couple of them.
The one that he kept pushing around that was making him hammer through the wall. That guy was
I don't
fun.
know, but that guy was funny too.
That guy was so fun.
I like the chief. The black guy was just screaming and
Yes.
cussing, calling everybody
Yes.
names. It was
Yes.
funny.
It
Anyway,
was.
if you want to check out Copshop, check it out. It's in theaters now. I think it's only in theaters, isn't it?
I believe so.
Hold on, let's look at if you go to my review, it'll tell you.
Well, I'm there.
What's it say at the bottom?
Open
Yeah, it's
in
in
theaters now.
Yeah, so check it out in theaters. It's a fun movie. If you just like good, violent, kind of pointless films, because there's no real major point to it, you just watch it for the characters and the destruction.
It's really good.
And it even ends on a kind of a way where they could make another one if they wanted to, or it's fine with what they did.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Like,
if
I
they
almost
did.
hope they don't, because I like that ending.
Yeah.
It was a fun little ending. So, moving on. What's our last movie?
Our last movie for today is interesting.
The Return
and
of
fun.
Clint Eastwood once again. And
I know,
movie-
because we never think he's going to do anything else, and then he does.
Well, he's 91, 90-something.
Yeah, but you know what?
And so his latest movie
He's
is
awesome.
Macho, which is almost his return to westerns.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a western period piece. It is in the 70s, I think.
Yeah, like 1980 or something.
I think it was 70s. But either way, it doesn't matter.
Whatever.
But he plays an old retired rodeo guy, horse breeder, who's just
He's
grumpy
just
and gruff, and he's been through some tragic of his life. He's got nothing going for him anymore, and so he basically plays Clint Eastwood in every other movie. And then he's asked by Dwight Yoakam, not the country singer, but the Dwight Yoakam, the actor, playing someone else. It is Dwight Yoakam, the singer, but he's an actor. But he's not playing Dwight Yoakam. He's playing that character.
He's a character.
So it wasn't like in the movie. He's at a Dwight Yoakam concert, and Dwight Yoakam has him do things.
No, and when we saw it, I'm like, is that Dwight Yoakam? He sure as heck is.
Dwight Yoakam looks the same all the time.
He does. Dwight
Keeps
Yoakam.
that hat on to hide that bald head.
Is he bald?
Yeah, he's really thin and bald up top. He's got Hulk Hogan hair.
Oh my.
Anyway, so he's asked a favor to go to Mexico to retrieve his son and just bring him back, and then in what ensues is kind of a road trip type movie.
Mm-hmm.
Of
1978.
yeah,
You're correct.
So it's like a road trip movie, but it's about two people trying to find life and discovering redemption and finding their place and new direction and that kind of stuff. This is not an exciting movie. It's kind of slow.
It's exciting.
Well,
at
I'm saying
times.
as a whole,
Yeah,
it's a very
it's a
slow-paced
talkie.
movie. It is. And I can kind of see how some people might take this movie and be like, that movie was just boring and had no point.
But it did.
But the thing with this movie is about life.
It is.
That's all this movie
But
is.
this is one that I did not dislike because of that. Because normally real life movies
You don't
bother
like
me
that. Yeah.
because I go to the movies to be taken out of real life. I'm
Yes.
here already. But this
I'm
movie,
here in life already. Though.
I'm already here in my real life. But this movie was actually very interesting and intriguing because it brings up a lot of, I think, underlying thematic elements of just in general. What is family? What is family? What makes up a family? It's not necessarily it's not necessarily who you're born to, who raises you, or even where you grow up. I think it's where you find yourself is who becomes your real family.
But I like too that this one, majority of the movie takes place in Mexico, and of course you're dealing with a lot of Spanish that he doesn't speak Spanish and he have to be translated. And I like that they didn't subtitle a lot of it.
I agree.
Because obviously you understand it and I understand a lot of it, but
yeah, you got it.
You're kind of experiencing like him. You have to wait for the translation if you don't understand it.
Yes.
Like there's one scene I knew right away what the guy was saying, and I told her
because you understand an angry wife. Everyone understands that.
He's talking. I'm like, he just said this. She goes, yes, he did.
Mm-hmm. Everybody understands when your wife is angry. You don't need translation for that.
Can I just point out, like, I keep waiting to see the Clint Eastwood movie that's just sad to watch because he's so old. Because he's starting to move like a 90-year-old man, and he's starting,
of course,
but he's still Clint, and you like.
That's why I'm telling you.
You don't want to argue. Like, it's funny as I hear a lot of people talk trash about Stallone and Schwarzenegger doing action movies and this and that, but it's like they're in better shape than most of us.
Mhm.
But Clint Eastwood, nobody seems to argue about Clint Eastwood doing anything.
Because he's Clint Eastwood. He's like so badass. You would
And there's
never
only
say
one
anything.
sequence. He gets one fight sequence in this. It's like a single punch kind of thing. And he's finally hitting people like an old man.
Yeah.
Like you still, it's not any which way but loose Clint Eastwood anymore. It's Clint Eastwood who he probably had to take a Geritol or something after he hit him. But he still, you believe that old man clocked that dude right in his face. And was ready to keep fighting if he had to.
I know, but you know the other thing, I kept telling you this. There were a couple of shots close up, and I'm like, but look at his beautiful eyes.
She kept opening his damn eyes.
He still has the beautiful eyes and smile like when he was Rowdy Yates back in the day. And his son looks just like him, who we see
Scott
a lot
Eastwood.
now. I mean, he's still so
But
cute.
Scott Eastwood's pretty. He's not like Clint. Clint is a man.
He's a man.
Clint is
I
a
know,
man.
but Clint Eastwood, he's just still so cute and sweet, and you can see there's life in those pretty
And I think Clint Eastwood is just
eyes.
grumpy in real life. I believe that.
I
believe.
think he's just so
I think
sweet.
in the best way possible. I don't mean that as an insult. I love Clint Eastwood. But I think he's the guy that would look at you and go,
Get off my lawn.
I think that grunt he does in almost all his movies where he goes, I think that's him in real life. I think somebody talks to him and he just goes.
Well, and this one, because there's a little senorita that kind of likes him, and you're like, ooh, he's so old, but I'm like, no, look at that sparkle in his eyes.
Here's the thing, though, is this movie becomes a journey.
It does, about him
of
and
him trying to rediscover his life, because as it unfolds through his relationship with this boy, what he's gone through and what's wrong with him and why he's grumpy and why he's. And this is one of the rare performances from Clint that we haven't seen in a while, where you start seeing cracks in that grumpy armor.
Yeah.
You get to see.
Start dealing with some of
because usually,
his loss.
in the Mule and Gran Torino, yes, he kind of came around, but he was still never really fully what's the word I'm looking for? Vulnerable.
Yeah.
And in this one, even when he's giving away, like telling the tragic story of his family or whatever, he still never fully goes in. But it's not till he gets with this other people and you start seeing him kind of finding his life again. And it starts with animals and kind of builds from that in a community that's not his. And that's where the ending comes in, where the ending to me, I was a little disappointed on where they went with the boy story. But then I realized that's how life is. There's no way of knowing. We're living Clint Eastwood's life. There's no way of knowing what happens after that moment.
Correct.
But we get to find out what happens after that moment for Eastwood's character.
Yeah, but I think, though, too, throughout the journey with him and the boy, he was trying to instill in him a lot of the teachings that the boy didn't have before, because his mom was off doing whatever. His dad had abandoned him. And so I think he was trying to teach him what it meant to be a man who kept his word.
Well, and that's
and
something I thought was.
I said I was going to do this, so I'm going to do this.
That's what I thought was interesting about this is the whole macho thing. Is it's kind of a what is the phrase? Metaphor to the movie, because Macho is a chicken. Right? The irony that Macho is a chicken, and being scared of being called a chicken, being macho means you're manly and you're tough or whatever, and this is a chicken named Macho that kind of becomes the catalyst between these two guys. You have this rough and tumble cowboy grift guy that smacks somebody and he fights and he rode horses and he's done all this stuff. You've got this boy who's been abused and suffering, and neither one of them, and the boy wants to be masculine. The boy wants to be macho, if you will. And the other guy needs to stop being so much. And it almost has a story of dealing with the macho toxic masculinity mentality without being something about that.
Yeah.
Where he's teaching him to be a man in the sense of an adult man, responsible.
It's like you don't have to be macho to be a man.
Yeah, and your morals, and when you say you're going to do something, like you said, you do it. And you do things to help people and this and that. And he's having to learn to live again.
Yeah. And to kind of cut back on the tough exterior and just open up and be a person again.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're both learning from each other throughout the course of the journey. And I think this is a movie about a journey. And
not the group journey.
No, although that might be interesting.
Oh, if he played Steve Perry, Clint Eastwood is Steve Perry.
Anyways, I just thought it was so good. And I think this might be that little boy's first movie.
It is. This was his first movie.
So
for him to be alongside Clint Eastwood.
I know. Such a good movie. And my favorite person in the whole thing was Martha. She's lying on the she's lying chewing her rope, but she's lying on the cord.
Cable, I know. We gotta hurry this up then, just in case.
I think Martha was my favorite person because even though her and Clint's character didn't even speak the same language, they understood each other because they came from similar situations and tragedies.
Well, my favorite line of the movie is like he comes to bring her a gift because she did something nice for them, and then she starts feeding him, and he's like, well, "I wasn't coming to mooch a meal, and you don't do this." As he translates, he goes, "What'd she say?" She's like, "I do what I want," and I'm like, because she wanted it. She was basically saying, "Good, man, I want to feed you because you're here, and I appreciate your gift." But he didn't want it to look like he was mooching because as a man, he's giving something to this lady that helped him, and he's not trying to be taken for being a freeloader. Yeah. And she's like, I'm an independent woman. I'm gonna do whatever I want. So he didn't shut up.
So, I mean, it's a great movie.
It's really a movie that won't work for everybody because, like I said, it is a little slow. It's a slow one. It's not exciting. It's just a journey of life. Yeah. That's all this is.
But it's really good.
And we'll see. And what's interesting about this movie is this screenplay has been around since the 70s.
Like probably 78 when they wrote it.
Yeah, the guy wrote it, pissed it, people turned it down. He turned it into a novel. It became a bestseller. He took the same screenplay back to the studios, and everybody wanted it.
Yeah, of course.
Because now it's popular. And it's gone through, there was at one point it was going to be made into a movie starring Roy Scheider. At one point it was being made into a movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger. And then all of those ended up not happening. Schwarzenegger became governor. It kind of put the kibosh on that. And then now we finally have it made, and it's Clint Eastwood, and it is what it is.
I think it's great.
So it is a really good movie, but again, like I said, it's one that won't work for everybody. I know there'll be a lot of people that probably be like, this movie was just boring, or there's nothing happens in this movie. And guess what? It's life.
No, but I thought it was very compelling.
Oh, it was. I'm just saying, it's like.
But I think I also like Clint Eastwood at this time period. I liked him really early, and I like him really late now.
I liked him in the middle when he was Dirty Harry killing everybody.
Dirty Harry's fine. I didn't like all the westerns. I didn't like Sister Sarah. I didn't like all the.
Unforgiven is amazing.
I might have to revisit because I loved Rowdy Yates because that's what I grew up with.
Outlaw Josie Wells is amazing.
And so watched all those. Dirty Harry,
The Good, the Bad, the Ugly is amazing.
I'm like, another western. But maybe now I'm going to be more open.
Clint's a cowboy, man.
He is a cowboy. Lifelong cowboy.
He is. And I always find it funny when you hear any stories that there's all these stories about making. If you go look up interviews with some celebrities that have ever worked on that, apparently he's like one take Clint. Like he doesn't give people more than one take.
When he directs, does he let them do more than one?
No, that's what I'm saying. When he directs, he doesn't let them do more than one take.
That's funny.
And he's like, why do you need another take? It was fine.
Well, that's funny. I mean, I read another story that his son even auditioned for a role and he didn't even pick the son because he's like, no, you're not right for this part.
He takes his film work very seriously.
Like, you're not right for this part.
Yeah, he doesn't.
He's like, yeah, but I've auditioned for him before.
And he drives some. I remember, I think it was on Ellen or something that Ellen was on the lot and she went into Clint Eastwood's office. And he's like, why are you here? And then he's like, they went out and it had like some old clunker car that he drove around. And it was the same car he'd had since whatever. This is years ago now, but. Anyway,
I think he auditioned for American Sniper, and he's like, "No, you're not right." Cooper. Yeah, he's like, "No, you're not right for this part." I'm like, "Dang, you got this." But that's how it should be. No, it's true.
It's just like that. I love that story of Straight Outta Compton when Ice Cube wanted his son to play him, but he made him go to acting school, and then he made him audition for the part.
That's the way to do it.
If you can't get the part, you ain't getting the part.
Which would have been very sad.
And he's like, and now he's like, he's an actor in his own right. He's gonna be in a Star Wars, and he's gonna be in, I think, an Obi-Wan series. So he's doing his own thing. Anyway, Cry Macho is available now in theaters and also on HBO Max for like 30 days. So if you don't want to spend money on it, but you want to do some Clint,
there you go.
I like the tag to this movie. It's very appropriate. So it's a story of being lost and found, which is part of it because he's going to pick up somebody and trying to find them and bring them back. Yeah. And it's also about the emotions of your life.
Yeah, it's everything you want in one movie.
Moving on.
All right.
What else we got?
You're going to tell me what's coming out to the
This isn't a huge week of stuff coming out. Batwoman, the complete second season is coming out. If you didn't watch Batwoman, I know you gave up on the first season.
I did after the first season.
Second season, I was surprised because I'm a Ruby Rose fan. But I was bummed when she left the show. Wasn't overly happy they were changing it. Second season is actually really good.
Is it better without her?
It's not so much better. It's a different show.
Okay.
This other girl does really well. They also expand into a lot of other stuff and do different things, which I just really enjoy. If you hate it, you're probably won't even know.
I didn't
There's a
hate
movie
it.
called Boys from County Hell. I have no idea what that is, but it's a Shudder exclusive. It looks like it deals with some monsters of some sort.
Nice.
Clockwork Orange, which we discussed today, 4K is getting released. F9, the Fast Saga, Fast and Furious 9 is coming out. And then a lot of releases of some older stuff. Bird on a Wire and Love and Basketball and a bunch of movies like that are all getting new releases as well. That's pretty much it.
All right, coming out this week. So tomorrow, coming to Prime Video, we have a movie called Clairvoyant. I don't even know. It's about some girl who's trying to document her journey into enlightenment. So it's might be interesting. We'll see. Coming out Wednesday on Netflix, it's a movie called Intrusion. This couple moves to a small town. There's a home invasion, and it seems a little bit suspicious about who may or may not be involved in their little small town. So we'll find out about that. Coming out Friday. So here's our big things. The movie Dear Evan Hansen. This is the one about the guy who is kind of a loner, and there's another guy who's a loner, and the second guy, I believe, commits suicide. But then somehow, through happenstance, the family believes they were actually best friends, and he doesn't really know how to tell them. I didn't really know him either. He was literally a loner. It is a musical, and it stars the guy that was kind of that secondary character in
I know what you're talking about.
the musical where everybody's singing a cappella. Yeah,
Pitch Perfect?
that guy, Pitch Perfect.
Oh.
He's the secondary character guy that's the magician and the Star Wars geek, and they don't
You
really
say
want
so.
him. Okay, coming to Netflix, My Little Pony, A New Generation.
My Little Pony, My Little Pony.
Okay, so a new Little Pony movie for Little Pony fans. Coming out on video demand and digital solitary. Isaac wakes up in a room with no memory of how he got there. And he's actually been sent to space on a prison ship or something. So we'll see what's going on with that. Okay, Netflix, The Starling with Melissa McCarthy. I don't even know what's happening, but I'm going to watch it.
Oh, what's up?
Prime Video, Birds of Paradise. Don't even know what's happening there. I'm going to be honest. I didn't read this one. But somebody lost a family member to suicide, so now they're kind of dealing with that. So, Prime Video.
Here.
That's your friend now.
What are you doing?
You can have her. Limited. Get off my lawn. Okay, that's kind of what's happening. There you go.
Yeah, couple movies that we missed. The Eyes of Tammy Faye that came out this week. I want to see that movie, so we'll probably try to go see it. It didn't do very well at the box office. But there are people buzzing that Jessica Chastain may get Oscar buzz.
Good for her.
For it. And I've been stupid excited thinking freaking Dune came out this week.
Oh my gosh,
Only to
stop.
realize it's actually October, not September. I'm stupid.
Spanking you. Bad
Hit the dog on the camera.
I was spanking her. She needed a spank.
But so we got another month to wait. So I was very excited, and now I'm not. So I don't know what all we're going to talk about next week, but we'll figure it out.
We'll find something.
So, all right.
All right.
Contest this week.
Oh,
Let's try
let
to
me
get
do
these
the
done before-
contest.
I've also got people asking me plumbing questions.
Okay, here we go.
So we got a plethora of things. We're giving away copies of The Forever Purge, which was supposed to be the final film in the series, but because of Copshop interviews, Frank Grillo just said that he may be returning to do Purge 6. So very, very excited about that.
Excited.
Also, we're still got copies of In the Heights to give away.
Mm-hmm.
$80 or whatever that song is. We still got copies of Zack Snyder's Justice League to
That
give
was
away.
the musical.
That was the musical part.
Mm-hmm.
Not Justice League the musical, just Justice League. We got copies of A Clockwork Orange on 4K that we mentioned earlier in the show that we talked about. If you didn't hear that part of the show, rewind it, watch it now. We got a couple copies left of Straight Out of Nowhere, Scooby-Doo Meets Courage, The Cowardly Dog. And last but certainly not least, we have 4K copies of The Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah, there you go.
Then we also have another couple of contests going to be popping up soon, probably this week, for God of War 2 and something else. So,
Okay.
that'd be it.
That's it.
Next week, we may be doing our show on Saturday. We have I have some people coming in out of town on Saturday, so we might not be on our normal time, but that's okay. You can check us out on Saturday. If you don't watch it at all, it doesn't really matter anyway, will it?
Wow.
So we'll see what happens.
Kind of negative.
And if you enter the contest, please, please, please. I'm going to read this to people.
Oh, we don't know who this is.
I'm not going to say the person's name. I'm just going to tell you. This will not make you win. If you enter a contest like this, in our contest, it always says a question, like there's not a right or wrong question. It's usually an opinion. Like, what's your favorite movie this person did? I think one of them, like Clockwork Orange, I think is like, what's your favorite Malcolm McDowell role or something, and why? And then you give your address. I say, please send your address, and then they're chosen at random. So this person sent me an email, no subject, that says, hello, I want this giveaway. Well, let me tell you, I can't send you a giveaway because I don't know what you want. So please put a subject in your line, like a normal email, and tell me what you want. Answer the question. Give me your address. I am a very busy man. I don't have time to be chasing you. Anyway, moving on.
Okay.
Simple instructions, man. I don't know why this is complicated. Anyway, join us next week. We'll come back with another show. Maybe Saturday, maybe Sunday. We don't know yet.
We don't know. We'll be here.
Sometime.
We'll see you then.
Now I got to go plumb.
All right. Bye.